Hello, everyone. Welcome to Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer here to cover 2023 SEC football with you as we are doing all off season. Not only does Southeastern 14 do a great job with covering basketball that's going on right now with all the bracketology, March Madness, everything, college baseball that's going on in the SEC. Chris Lee, Blake Glove will do a great job of that. I do my best job of keeping up with SEC football for you guys, and we're going to dive into these individual teams going forward. If you go back and look at some of our other content, we've done top newcomers, transfers, top non-conference games, things of that nature. Now we're going to dig into the individual teams, and this is the start. This Missouri video is the start of our best case, worst case scenario for each team in 2023. Listen, the Missouri Tigers are a team that I think has a lot going for them going into the 2023 football season. Eli Drinkwitz and company, listen, they had players who played out of their minds at times last year. It's just the consistency, and there were some changes made on the coaching staff and things like that that should be able to help with those things a little bit, especially with a younger head coach like is Eli Drinkwitz, who's now entering into time where, okay, now it's time to do a little something there at Missouri. You could start feeling a little bit of pressure, even though you got signed to a new contract last year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Eli Drinkwitz, like I said, looking here like the interim Sunday school director at a Southern Baptist church. I mean, this man, no other things you can say about it, but does not look like an SEC head football coach when it comes to mind. But there is so much football up there in that man's brain. He's forgotten more football than you and I will ever know. But he even has to adjust a little bit. And he's been used to calling the plays and doing the offense for Missouri. But that's going to change now because he has brought on former Fresno State offensive coordinator and before that, Fresno State wide receiver coach, Kirby Moore. And Kirby Moore, I don't even know if he's shaved yet in his life. He is a young man. I mean, this guy is someone who has had experience with Jake Haney, who had a great year at Fresno State in 2021, dipped a little bit in production, admittedly, with Kirby Moore's offensive coordinator there, but we'll see how things turn out there at Missouri. I think just taking that off of Eli Drinkwitz's plate, and now he's able to be more of a CEO of that program, tighten up things here and there. Like I said, consistency. Missouri wasn't very far off at times. You look at the Auburn game last year. You look at the Georgia game last year. You look at the first 3 quarters of the Tennessee game last year, right? There were opportunities to take advantage of if you're Missouri, but just some inconsistent play, some untimely turnovers, things of that nature really got them. And, I think having a guy like Kirby Moore to, at the very least, be a sounding board and be somebody to help Eli Drinkwitz sort everything out offensively, bring some new ideas in there a little bit, I think that's going to be a big help. What will also be a big help is bringing in guys like this. Theo Wease. Yes, they lost Dominic Lovett to Georgia in the transfer portal. But when you're talking about Theo Wease, he's a guy who brings experience. He can play on the outside from Oklahoma, a wealth of experience, a guy that you're going to enjoy having in your locker room. He knows how to win, and I think that's going to be a big influence on Luther Burden, a guy who has all the talent in the world. He'll be moving inside to replace Dominic Lovett. He'll be in the slot, and they've got to find ways to get Luther Burden the football. But Theo Wease and just the overall experience and, being able to bring some of that winning culture. Yes, I know Oklahoma didn't have the year that they wanted to have, but during Theo Wease's time, Oklahoma's been very successful dating back to when Lincoln Riley was there. So I think you can bring a little bit of that winning culture in there to Eli Drinkwitz's program. They also have Ole Miss transfer Dannis Jackson, highly touted receiver as well. And, there's going to be in-house guys, people that are returning, Mekhi Miller, Peanut Houston, Mookie Cooper. All of these guys are going to be fighting for playing time. So Kirby Moore, a former wide receivers coach himself, he's going to have plenty of wide receiver options to choose from. The question is, who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be Brady Cook, or is it going to be Jake Garcia? Maybe even Sam Horn, who just injured his elbow a little bit. So we'll see how he recovers from that. He's a baseball player as well for Missouri. So a lot to be determined there. But there are some good things about the Missouri offense that I think you got to look forward to in 2023. Of course, running back is a question. You got Schrader and Pate that are going to be the guys most returning. Does Tavares Jones, is he able to get in there and push them for playing time? Yet to be determined. Spring ball's going on right now, position battles. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see going forward. Then you got Blake Baker at defensive coordinator, and you see a big smile on Blake's face here, and there's a reason for it, because he has guys like this returning in Tyron Hopper. Not only does he have Tyron Hopper coming back, but he's got middle linebacker Chad Bailey coming back. He's got Relish George Jr. coming back as one of the defensive tackles there. Of course, they have Jalen Carley's coming back at free safety. Chris Abrams-Drain, who is a senior, coming back at the left corner position. I mean, Enos Rakestraw, who's going to be a redshirt junior. He is on the other side at corner. They have a ton of experience coming back on that Missouri defense, a Missouri defense that really held like that vaunted Georgia offense in check at home last year. For a little while was stifling the Tennessee offense before that Tennessee crowd and everything took over there in Knoxville and kind of helped Tennessee get over the hump with that one. But I'm telling you, Missouri's defense flies around, whether it's Johnny Walker, Tyron Harper, Chad Bailey, all at the all up front on that front seven. Darius Robinson, they have a ton of guys that are able to, one, stop the run, and then on the back end, they should be able to hold up, like I said, with Chris Abrams-Drain at one corner and Enos Rakestraw at the other, experienced safety, and Jalen Carley's over there. So I think Blake Baker, Tyron Hopper, all these guys on the Missouri defense, one of the most leading production returns in all the SEC defensively. Got a lot to look forward to there on that side of the ball. Now, here's where the big key is going to be when you're talking about best case scenario. So, you got a 12-game schedule. You're looking at the non-conference is going to be crucial to that. They got drug by Kansas State last year at Kansas State. It was ugly, okay? Middle Tennessee State, good football team. They beat the living crap out of Miami last year. It's a program that knows how to win, always a dangerous game. Then, of course, Memphis. Missouri's 3-1 all time against Memphis. Memphis was 7-6 last year, not a tremendous season. So this is going to be crucial for me. If Missouri could go 3-0 in this, then I think you're legitimately looking at the opportunity to have a 9 or 10 win season, depending on what you do in a bowl game. Missouri goes 3-0 here. They have an opportunity to have double-digit wins on the year. And I think that is what you're looking at, 10 wins, including a win in a bowl game, being the ceiling, the best-case scenario for Missouri this year. That would mean when it comes time for the SEC schedule that if they were to win those and they were to be 4-0, okay, going into SEC play, they'd open up at Vanderbilt, even though Vanderbilt, I think, is going to be improved and showed some improvement with A.J. Swan under Clark Lee and company last year. I think Missouri would have a chance to win that one on the road. The tough home games that Missouri has this year. The toughest home games, you have LSU coming to Missouri October 7th. I think LSU is going to be one of the best teams in the SEC, probably my favorite to win the SEC West again. That's a tough one. Tennessee. What does Tennessee look like on November 11th? Has Joe Milton lived up to to the billing is Nico Imaliva, the freshman. Has he, taken over at quarterback by that point? I don't know what Tennessee is going to look like at that point. I expect Tennessee to take a step back from last year. So that could be a game. Listen, like I said, Missouri played Tennessee tough for three and a half quarters last year. So we'll see how things work out when they have to come to Missouri. What time will that game be at? If it's a 11 a.m., kickoff Eastern time, then that gives Missouri an advantage. Okay, so LSU and Tennessee are the home games that you have to navigate. Let's say best case scenario, I think you split those. You go 1-1. Okay, so there's one loss on the year. And then on the road, okay, they got Kentucky on the road, Georgia on the road, Arkansas on the road. Those are the big three away games in the SEC that I think are going to be crucial. I think Kentucky and Georgia are both set to have really good years. Kentucky brought in Devin Leary, but they also brought back Liam Cohen, offensive coordinator, Ray Davis, a running back from Vanderbilt, and of course their wide receiver core of Dane Key, Berrien Brown, and Tavion Robinson. I think Kentucky's pretty loaded this year after having faced LSU the week before at home. That's a tough turnaround to face a Mark Stoops coach team. So I think that could be a tough game for Missouri. Of course, Georgia is going to be tough as well. And then you got the Tennessee game right after the Georgia game. Listen, I think when it comes down to it, you're probably going to have Missouri have some combination of 3 SEC losses. I think they can beat South Carolina. I think they can beat Florida. And Vanderbilt, I would chalk those up as I think those are going to be wins for Missouri this year. So I think best case scenario this year, regular season, you're looking at 9-3 with Missouri going undefeated in the non-conference. Worst case scenario, I think you're looking at them dropping 1, maybe 2 of those non-conference and then getting a little sloppy in conference play. So I'd say worst case, you're looking at 7-5. That's if they lose. That's if they lose both of those really tough home games of LSU and Tennessee, and then they just go over on their road games. That would be tough for Missouri. And then I think pressure starts to build on Eli Drinkwitz. I don't care about the extension, all that kind of stuff. Eventually, you got to say, hey, when are you going to win football games? What does success look like? I think success looks like 8 wins or more this year for Missouri. I think your best case scenario is a 10-win season with a win in the bowl game for Missouri. And your worst case scenario is probably 7-5 for Missouri. I think they're really talented on defense. I really like the combination of Luther Burden and Theo Wease on the outside to give Kirby Moore options. Got to get some consistency at running back and get the quarterback question answered. But listen, I think they got talent there with Brady Cook and Jake Garcia and even Sam Horn. But I just we're playing baseball and elbow injuries and things like that. That's just tough to have a lot of confidence in Sam Horn going forward with that. But guys, we here at Southeastern 14 hope you'll have confidence in us and our content. Hope that you will like, subscribe, turn on notifications when we do live streams. Chris and Blake do a great job reacting to all the SEC basketball and baseball action. So for everything SEC, make sure you're right here on Southeastern 14. We'll be turning into Southeastern 16 when Texas and Oklahoma join the league. I've got a scheduling video that was put out a couple of days ago on what the SEC schedule could look like in the 9-game format with 3 permanent opponents. So check that out. Like I said, I'm Blayne Gilmer. This is Southeastern 14. We will catch you guys next time.